the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Really good. He was a blue chipper for a reason, one of the highest rated receivers in that same class of Mike. So I would not be surprised if Braylon's really good too. But I think Brazzell's an out wide guy, which leads us to the next question here, Jack, is for this future bet, Chris Brazzell ends up leading the Vols in TD catches next year. Are you buying or selling that?
It's tough because you would pick an outside receiver to do this. So you're on the right track there. But he had 2 last year. Obviously, one everyone remembers. I'm going to sell this because I don't know how many touchdowns Nico is going to throw in 25. 19 a year ago. Joe threw 20 and 23. And you really see the drop-off in passing touchdowns come with the lack of explosive plays in the offense. Look who led Tennessee in receiving touchdowns last year. It was Dante. He had 26 catches on the year. All of his touchdowns, or at least the vast majority, if not all, were explosive plays. So I think it'll be a similar looking offense. Won't be as reliant on a workhorse running back, but they'll still run the ball a lot. And I think the passing concepts will be similar. So who's going to have the most big plays for Tennessee? Who's most apt to be an explosive play guy? Brazzell's up there. But like I said earlier, I think Mike Matthews is going to be the guy for Tennessee. And I don't know if I'm going to confidently pick him to lead Tennessee in receiving touchdowns, but I think I would pick Matthews over Brazzell just because I expect more from him in 25. And also, Kitzelman was second for Tennessee last year. McCallan Castles was second in 2023, only one behind Ramel Keaton for receiving touchdown lead. So I think he's a candidate too, but I'm going to sell Brazzell leading receiving touchdowns, just gut feeling more than anything.
Look, McCallan Castles and Miles Kitzelman were good players for Tennessee the last 2 years. The theme there is the 2 years that Tennessee's passing offense has been really bad is when the tight ends are number 2 in touchdown receptions.
Right.
So if Miles is number 2 or leads Tennessee in touchdown receptions, this offense, the passing offense, was really bad. Once again, Miles could not be in that top 2 if Tennessee makes the leap.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Hold on.
Because, I mean, he led Tennessee in receiving in the Georgia game. Tennessee obviously shut out in the second half. Tennessee, in their 3 losses, I don't think a receiver caught a touchdown in any of those 3 games. There's a direct correlation between just what Tennessee's upside is offensively and like what you're talking about with Dante, where, I mean, he had 3 receptions against Vandy, 2 TDs. Like, it was just, he was just someone who didn't need the ball very often. Like, he could play 25 snaps and do all he needed to do for Tennessee. And I think Tennessee's going to really miss him. I'm actually buying this, though. I would not be surprised if Chris Brazzell leads Tennessee in touchdown receptions next year because, look, there is some year 2 optimism of Dante Thornton coming in, and I talked about this with Matt Dixon, who's coming on here after, of like, I do think that it's not a apples to apples situation of Thornton and Brazzell in terms of year 2, because Thornton was really coming into his own on the outside. Coming into 24 where he got injured on a touchdown reception and he moved outside and was figuring it out and like was thriving down the stretch. And I think Brazzell was fading, and Brazzell was not someone who looked more and more comfortable as the season went on. It kind of went the other way, outside of his big time catch against Bama. So, but I think he has more upside. Like, I think Brazzell to me has more potential than Thornton, because Thornton was just like crossers or deep balls. I think Brazzell has that long catch radius. I think he can run different routes. I think he can do more of the Cedric Tillman type stuff for Tennessee that you could sell me on buying that. If everything comes together for Tennessee's passing game, that Brazzell would be a big beneficiary and a big reason why. So, I mean, I don't hate that Brazzell. I think for Tennessee standpoint, they really want it to be Brazzell. Like that would be really a nice development if Brazzell leads Tennessee in touchdown receptions.
Yeah, and you're talking about Dante and Brazzell being further along. Well, look who the coaching staff entrusted with more snaps last year.
Yeah.
You know, Dante Thornton wasn't even in top 3 in snap count for Tennessee last year. Like, he was he only had a certain few plays that he was running and that Tennessee was incorporated. Granted, his success rate was really high in those. So I agree.
He was supercharged Javonte Payton.
Yep, exactly. My question for you is, though, like, why definitively does Brazzell have a better chance than Mike Matthews in your eyes?
I think It's just the age. Like, part of it is just we've seen more tape of him at Tulane. He's in another year in the system. He is bigger. I think he's long. I think he's probably faster. I don't know what they're 40. I would guess Brazzell's faster than Mike. But to me, I could just see more of him. The reason that people were in on him was like it seemed like he was the most Cedric Tillman type guy they've had, and they were kind of missing that outside boundary receiver that could be a red zone weapon, that could be someone who could do a lot of different things on the outside, and a yak guy. Like, you look at some of those Tulane highlights from 2 years ago. I mean, he was really good with the ball after the catch. And I think for me, it wouldn't surprise me if Mike leads the team in touchdowns and or receptions. I think that'd be awesome. Like, we're both Parkview alums here. Like, I want Mike to work out. I am just saying it would be better for Tennessee if your one lone upperclassman broke through to take a lot of the pressure off all these young guys, redshirt freshmen, to make the leap with a redshirt sophomore quarterback. Like, I think from where Tennessee's sitting right now in that room, I just think they kind of need Brazzell to be a leader and step up and be a highly productive player that we saw 2 years ago at Tulane. So for me, I just feel like it takes a lot of pressure off those guys and maybe helps them play better and helps them get open more if there's a lot more attention on that side of the field with how Brazzell's playing, and he's more comfortable in that system. So I don't know. I just feel like Brazzell unlocks more for the young guys if he's really good than vice versa, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think an underlying theme of our whole conversation here is that you're just probably more optimistic about Tennessee's passing offense next season than I am. I don't know how much better it's going to be. I don't know how much it's going to change. So you look at who led Tennessee in receiving touchdowns last 2 seasons, how it all shakes out. Everything's very close. Like, I think, in all likelihood, whoever leads Tennessee in receiving touchdowns next year will have 7 to 9 and lead by 1 to 2. Like, it's not going to be a big gap. They're probably all going to be pretty close, like it's been the last 2 years. I don't expect anything like 3 years ago when it's Jalen Hyatt leading the pack by 10. Like, I just don't see that happening with the talent Tennessee has at the wide receiver position. But the one thing that could change that is if Mike Matthews is just an absolute dude and gets unleashed, which is, I'm betting more on that than as far as, hey, Tennessee's passing offense is going to work out in 25. Like, you're telling me this. How does that happen? I would say, oh, Mike Matthews must be a dude. So that's why I tend to lean him in these conversations.
I hope so, man. That'd be awesome. I'm here for Mike Matthews being a dude in 25. That'd be great. Baseball here. Opening weekend, Tennessee outscored opponents, if you include Asheville, like 1,000,000,000 to 5 over the first 4 games.
It's 75-6.
That's just bonkers. Just absolutely bonkers what we saw from Tennessee baseball over the weekend. But who had the best opening weekend for you, Jack Foster, and who do you have? What's your biggest concern, if any, for the Vols coming out of opening weekend?
Yeah, it's hard to really say who had the best opening weekends. I mean, so many guys raked.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.